Hey, how we doing? It's Don, the auction professor. This is our live show today. It is August 1st, first day of the month. A lot of stuff going on here. I've got issues today. I always take notes for the show. I've got a whole page of them today. Biggest one today, we got monetized last night, so you will see some ads on the videos from now on. With the money I make, which I know isn't going to be a lot, I'm not looking to make a money per se on YouTube itself, but I'm going to be doing some shoots from some antique stores, some antique malls, and I'll be able to show you the inside workings on, you know, what to look for, how to look for it, and what to do at an antique store as well too. I'll also be able to bring, you know, me and Ian or one of my other employees out to some locations and show you some better information. And I'm not going to be going to the thrift stores per se, because around here, Savers has closed. I have no Savers. The two Savers that were in this area, and they were big, nice size Savers, out of business. You know, and there's other thrift stores that have went under here too. There's been two others that are near the Savers. So for us, it's hard to find a lot of the items that you see other people getting. And again, the bin store I've talked about before, the closest bins is in Columbus, which is over 3 hours away from our house. So just keep that in mind, that I don't have the same sourcing anymore as a lot of folks do. We still get stuff at thrift stores. I went by a tiny one today. I'm going to show you a bolo in just a little bit here of something that I picked up, and I've talked about it many times, but this is something that I run into quite a bit, and it's a huge high dollar value, and you can look it up while I'm talking about it in just a minute here. But again, I have been monetized, and we are going to use the money. Again, it's not going to be a lot. We're running around 50,000 views a month right now. I know that's not a lot compared to some of the other ones. We don't have a ton of subscribers. I'm heading towards the 2,000 mark right now. I honestly, my goal is to put out some good information and to advertise for my artwork through the site and through other avenues as well too. I've showed off some of the artwork that I did. Let me just cut over for a second and say hi to everybody. Penny Day, first one on today. Rich Sanders. I've got something in the mail as well too. Richard answered the question for Rage. I announced that the other day. He's got a card in the mail too already. Macaroni May, how you doing? Steve, what's up? Groove Master Reseller. Annie, Kathy Steele, Peddlin' Profits, welcome. Jaded Gypsy, Disney Family 515, and G-Tor. I'm not going to again go into the rest of your name on there if you're fine with that. Welcome, everybody. Please hit the like button if you do enjoy talking and hearing what's going on. Again, I do have a list, as I said, for those of you who missed the first couple minutes. One thing I want to throw out there right now, this is the most important thing that's going on now. They are slowly rolling out, eBay is slowly rolling out the new payment process. In my personal recommendations, if you get the notice, whatever you do, do not accept it. Do not join the new payment group at all. Do not go into the 8 in at all. Don't change what you're doing with the PayPal. Good or bad or indifferent, don't do it. Because if you are the 5% or less that are doing the new payment process, you cannot take PayPal. And once you get in there, there's been some talk. People have said that you can't back out, and there's some that say you can. If you took the notice from the very first submission letter, eBay says you can back out. But if you got the secondary notice that says you're fully in, you cannot back out. Even if the thing works fine, I would personally wait till everybody on eBay has to do it, because that way you're not going to be singled out and be the only couple people that might be selling an item that are forcing people to re-register for a whole new payment process. So again, do not sign up for the new eBay payment process yet. I'm going to wait till the very end. I just lost chat here, so hang on. But I'm going to wait till the very end, which is what I did on the new process for the 30-day free returns. I waited till the very last second. So again, just keep that in mind. That's your call on what you do with that. But if you want to stay safe, even if there was no glitches, even if the payment process works fine, which I kind of feel that there'll be some issues with it, don't do it, in my opinion. Again, this is just me saying it. I'm not going to do it. I will not do it to the very last minute when I am required to do it, just because I don't want to be singled out on eBay for being the only one, or the only one that sells the items that I sell, making you sign up and have another payment process system. So I do feel that the new system is going to be good. the new standpoint here. Now, I've heard it several ways that it was going to be a weekly payout. From the actual eBay eBay Live, from all what I've seen and actually talked to, I actually called and talked to eBay yesterday. What I have seen and heard personally is that it's going to be a daily payout system, which is, you know, as good as you can get. It's not going to change your difference from being PayPal to them, because again, it's going to be daily. It may not be instantaneously. For those of you who've worked in retail or business and in general, charge cards settle out at the end of the night. When the shift is done and your day is done, everything is processed at the very last minute of the day. There's pending holds on your account prior to that, but until the manager or whoever is running the store that ran your charge card hits a specific button at the end and transfers those sales, nothing is processed to the end of the day. And that's, I'm sure, how the system works. I've looked into the new processing system. I've checked out their website. I've checked out feedback on them. I've checked out their rankings, their ratings, you know, customer service satisfaction ratings. Everything is top notch. It's better than PayPal from everything I have seen. And I've checked it out a lot because I've got a lot at stake. I know everybody does, obviously, but we've got 40-some odd thousand listings. I'm taking it very seriously, and I don't want to have any hiccups at the end. You know, there's not much choice you're going to have if they switch the whole system over. But from what I see, everything, it's far outweighs PayPal issues. They don't have the same situation. They've been around for a long time and are a well reputed company that has a good standing across the board. So again, just wait on the new processing system, my opinion. You know, I know there's still glitches here and there, and I've had some people say some nasty comments about some of the glitches and how I take it. I know the glitches affect people. I do. But again, I have better things to worry about. The fourth quarter is coming up. I'm, you know, yeah, I've had issues, you know, and the total number of listings that had photos missing has went up. You know, I'm up in the 40 range now out of 40,000 listings. So it's a very small percentage. Even if there's another 100 of them, I'm not going to worry about it. I understand that if you've got 2,000 or 3,000 listings and you've got 100 or 2 listings that have issues, that is going to be a problem for you. But it's nothing that you can do anything about other than moving on with it. So either you're going to embrace the changes and move with them, or you're just going to be upset about it. You know, I've got a video coming out, you know, about some of the issues and where my mentality comes from. I had a boss once, and most of what I say and where I take my business acumen from is from him. His name was Lou. He was probably the most influential person in my entire life. He's the only ex-boss that I still talk to after, you know, 20 years. I've worked for this guy more than a decade ago, and I still have conversations with him. That tells you anything. My father passed away at 17, so this guy was the bomb to me. I mean, and I take all my calls, even some of the things I say comes from him. So I'm going to address some of these issues and some things to think about in some videos here. Let's see who I've missed here. Let's see here. I've got a bunch today, it looks like. Welcome the other Jason, Super Sunshine Thrifter, Michigan Finds, Anthony Fazzini, Lindis, Rocky Mountain Finds. There's Thrift a Lot. Annie's here. I'm going to get some questions in just a few minutes here. Tom Ho-Ho. Let's see here. I'm going to go back. Welcome, Kimbra. Fowler. I'm going to go back to some questions in just a few minutes. As I said, I've got a huge list today of issues. I'm going to pop them in here, you know, from time to time. Big ones, as I said, is we did get monetized, and I do have more different types of stuff coming out after this. It's going to be a little while before I can get everything arranged, but I have okay from a major antique mall, a huge one. They've got hundreds of dealers there to kind of show you booths and things to look for when you're out there. And I think that'll be a big help. It's something that you can take your time in. The difference between thrifting at an antique store versus thrifting in a thrift store, it's harder to do stuff. You've got other competition there. In a thrift store, you can casually walk around, pull up your phone anytime you want and do anything you want. It doesn't matter if they see you looking like it would if you're at a sale or something and you don't want anybody knowing you're reselling to try and get the best price. So anyway, I've got rapport. I've got, you know, my tax ID number with most of the places that I have gone to, including this one. I've been shopping at this place for years. So we're going to have some better content on that to give you some in-depth ideas on stuff. Other videos coming up as well too. The Trilobite wise, as I've talked about here, that's advancing now. I'm actually got an application going to the Toledo Museum of Art, which if you can get into their gift shop there for stuff like that, it's a given good money and a regular standard income if they take you in. So that's my goals on some of that. I haven't done anything with them other than I've sold one and I've gotten my money back from most of the actual product it took to make the first bunch of these. So anyway, let's go to a few questions. I'll pop back to my list here since it's getting a little into the time here, and I've got some people hopping on here already. If I miss calling you out, I'm sorry. I don't want to miss any of the questions here either. Let's see here. Give me just a second to catch back up. Let's see here. Yeah, Annie, beta tests are fun to join. I've got beta on a couple other sites and a couple other things that we do. It's neat to be in the first group to try something out, but in this case, I would wait. I know a lot of people are frustrated and had some major issues with their store. And again, it depends on how many items you have to how much that issue is going to affect you. eBay personally said to me, I've talked to them several times about this, the average or the max they said was 200 listings or thereabouts per person. That was the max on most people. So, you know, I could still end up having a couple hundred listings that have photos missing. But with me, it's very hard to look through 40,000 listings and to be able to tell because every one has one photo. So, you know, it's hard to tell which ones are missing photos. So again, I'm not going to worry about it. When they pop up, I'll fix them then. That way I don't have a ton all at the same time. We fixed like 40 now. So, you know, I'm sure there's more. I'm sure I probably have a couple hundred of them. But again, they're insequential to the big picture. I can't do anything about it. There's nothing in the world I can do about these glitches other than fix them, drop off eBay or move on. And I'm just going to fix them and move on. You know, I'm sorry if that bothers people, but you know, for the amount of stuff I have up, it's not an issue. It's such a small percentage of our overall items. And again, I'm not trying to brag on the items. Everybody would hopefully want to get this many up and get as much as they can, because the more you get up, the more you're going to sell, the more you're going to make. So anyway, let's see what we got here. Yeah, 2020, I would bet, Annie, that at 2020, they're probably going to end up pushing it back even to 2021 or something like that. I've heard talk that it might not be fully integrated until 2023. You know, who knows? You know, I don't count anything until I see it. I've had, you know, other things that have been said and things that they've done in the past that affect people. I had a lot of people saying about the complaints with the promotions. I don't use promotions. I don't need to. I know that a lot of people do the promotions and it can work great for people. It's just not my thing because of what we sell. If you're selling clothing or, you know, stuff that's a flooded market or something, yeah, I would surely do a promotion. I don't know how it's working now. I've heard people say that it was messing up their pricing and structures and reverting stuff back to lower prices and things like that. I don't have a clue on how that works. I mean, I've done promotions, obviously, and I know how the promotions itself works, but I have no idea on any of the glitches related to that. I've never discussed it. It is on my list to ask eBay on my next phone call to them. I end up calling them usually once or twice a week, every single week, sometimes just to clarify stuff. You know, I don't mind if it's on hold. I'll just put my phone on, you know, speakerphone and let it sit there while I'm working. So who cares if the phone's on hold for a little while. So anyway, let's go back to this. When did I start reselling? Tom Ho-Ho, I started reselling the very first year eBay came on. Not full-time, though. We started on the side. My very first item I ever sold was a 400-foot roll, 8mm film of Star Wars that I got actually at, and believe it or not, it was at a Sabres when Sabres wasn't around our area. When Sabres was a small company, I think it was a Sabres anyway, but this is years ago. Sabres used to be a small company and not a national company. So anyway, but it's been years, 20 plus years ago, we started selling. We went full time just like 5 years ago, just over 5 years now. So, you know, I've known eBay from the start, the very start. I knew eBay when you could actually bid once on your own item. I knew eBay when you could actually leave negative feedback for buyers, when there wasn't all these rules and regulations on there. Another YouTuber that I've watched occasionally called it the Wild Wild West, and yes, it was. And nowadays, it's just a free-for-all still, but they are working on it. I'm going to address some of the issues here on that, too, on some of the updates, because I had some questions on the updates as well, too. I've watched all the webinars. I've watched a ton of videos. I've talked to eBay, because it does affect my business, what does go on. So I'm not blind by the issues. You know, I know what goes on, and I took a lot of time. I've read everything eBay has published on it, including some of the trade magazine articles that eBay put out. So anyway, there's more to what just eBay says than what eBay puts on eBay's site itself. So, you know, they've given interviews and things like that. Wall Street Journal's talked about it, and some other pages too have. But anyway, let's go back to the questions here. Let me hang on just a second here. My chat column is not accurate or not looking quite right. Where are we at? Yeah, Anthony, Aiden, I would wait on. Aiden's a good company, but the integration is my concern. And the fact that you might be, let's say there's a field you're selling in a niche and there's only 10 people that sell it and you're the only one who has the new payment process. What are they going to do? They're going to buy from the people who have the old payment process where they don't have to do anything else. And it's not because I'm worried about eBay, which could be a major concern for payments not coming through, but I'm more concerned about a buyer experience. I don't really worry about what eBay does because I got to follow suit whatever they do. I change if they change because that's the game here. I want to stay on eBay. I'll badmouth them when I have an issue. I haven't had an issue that I have concerned myself with to say eBay is bad in one area or not. They've been bad in the past, and the only area that I have a very high negative opinion on is how eBay handles buyer scams. When a buyer scams you, that's my biggest concern. I understand their standpoint from a legal aspect because I did work as a regional in retail where we handled multiple stores. I was responsible for everything. For eBay, they have to have empirical evidence that would be accepted in a court of law to side with one person or the other. The end result is for these cases, when you have these issues, when a buyer scams you, is to throw a fit with eBay. Don't be obnoxious. Don't yell at them. Just say you're tired of this. Go into the explanation. This isn't fair. This isn't right. I do a lot of business with you. Blah blah blah. You need to do something. eBay has always done. Even when eBay reps tell me they can't do that, they can't refund my money. I know they can because they've done it before, and that is what I always tell them. So if you have that issue, and you've had to deal with this before, every time an eBay employee has told me they can't do something, I tell them, yes, you can, because you've done it to me before. And I always have my stuff in a row. If I call them, I have a list of the items that they have done it to, because usually it's a refund issue on a buyer fake complaint, and I get that taken care of. And if you win a complaint like that, that means that the buyer cannot leave negative feedback or any feedback on you, and always block them, of course. I've got some videos coming out. I've got a listing video coming out too. So I'm going to go over some of that too. I'll go over the policies, how to set up your return policy, your shipping policies, and your payment policies, so you can have your templates ready in there to go. If you're not aware, they've got the new policy section there on the bottom of your listings page. So, I'm going to go over that. I'm going to go over some of the other issues and some of the other aspects of this. So anyway, hopefully that gives you some better ideas on that. But again, Aiden is a good system. It's just not ready for us yet. Any of you, I would recommend. You don't want to be singled out and have one of your customers have to do a new establishment with credit and the whole works by putting their credit card information in and all that kind of stuff. It's just not worth putting a buyer through it, especially if you're having sales issues now because of some of the changes going on. So anyway. Yeah, I saw that too, Annie. That from what I understand, though, anybody, if you want the daily option, will have the daily option. Again, it's still in the tentative works. That's how you can do it there. You can set it up depending on the business. They could set it up where it's once a week or whatever the case may be, just like Amazon does it. I think ours is now once a week. I know some people get payouts like every 2 weeks or once a month. We were in some clause or something. We get it like once a week now. So anyway, let's see her down here. Hang on just a second here. Let me get caught up again because I'm way behind on the list here. The other Jason, I cannot say, but on the exact percentage down, but the way eBay's talking, it's going to be considerably lower. So I'm guessing at least 1%. That may not sound like a lot, but when you're doing high volume like us, 1% is a big difference. And just like the top rated seller plus status, I see people say it's only 1% discount on final value fees. Yeah, it's only 1%, but if you're selling, 20,000, 30,000 a month, it's a big 1%, so it's worth doing that. And people say, you don't need top rated seller plus. These are some of the same folks that have been telling me, their sales are hurt and they're not getting, top rating on search results. That buy box isn't there yet. So what you're looking for is the best feedback to get yourself up. One of the other issues I was going to address on here before I ask or answer some more questions is the new fees on people who have multiple not as described in issues. They're going to be raising your fees just for those folks that do it. So it's another incentive for a lot of you who are new to this and haven't done eBay for a lot. No criticism on you at all, because I started from scratch too. But some of the things that you got to think of is when a buyer has a bad experience on eBay, They may not have ever seen your name on there. They just saw the item and know it's eBay. So if they have a bad experience because the seller is terrible or has terrible customer service or whatever the case may be, they're going to blame eBay, and your sales, not just yours, but the eBay site in general, is going to have issues. That's why Amazon is so good and known. We had an issue the other day. We needed something shipped to the house. It was guaranteed 2-day delivery. This is a true story. It was for a turtle. We have a turtle here. And the food didn't show up in that 2 days. 2 days later, I finally filed, because I wasn't in a super hurry. But at this point, we were going away for the weekend, and I wanted the food in so I didn't have to go buy it locally, because it's 3 times as much. We bought it's a big, huge thing of food for it. Anyway, I call eBay up, or not eBay, I'm sorry, I'm mixing up, Amazon, and I talk to them and to explain the issues, and they offer, to give it to me for free, which I'm like, I don't mind paying for it. I just wanted the item in a certain time. They couldn't guarantee me the time because the item was actually out of stock. So not only did they give me a $25 credit gift card to my account for whatever I wanted to buy, but they still assured me the item was out. They actually bought the item, or whatever they did. They got it from someone. I still got it within time. They overnighted it. And on top of overnighting it, they refunded my entire purchase of that item. That is customer service for you. That is why I love Amazon as well. I'm happier with Amazon than I am with eBay, but I'm still very happy with eBay. So eBay is trying to fix some of these issues. They have issues related to bad buyers. If you saw some of what was going on, they are fixing those issues, because I've had bad buyers. Even with buying stuff myself, my son bought a camera, and it was supposed to have been delivered yesterday. Still hasn't even been marked for delivery. But eBay stepped in, and they're, if I want it fixed right now, they would have done it. And, on and on. eBay is trying. So, I don't have a huge bad word to say about eBay, other than the issues that they've been giving the buyers every benefit of the doubt, more than they should in some instances. But again, you have to have a legal basis. If they side with a buyer and they are wrong, they could be sued. So again, when eBay is making these decisions and they don't have proof whether the buyer did something wrong or the seller did something wrong, they have to go down the middle. That's legal law. eBay is sued all the time. I guarantee it. eBay, I would not doubt that eBay has a lawyer in every state and union. For those of you who don't know, I worked for Disney for a long time, more than a decade. eBay had a lawyer in every single state in the union, in every country that I was aware of, just to handle infringements and legal battles and legal lawsuits. And I've been involved. I've had to speak on behalf of Disney for a lawsuit from a hurt guest. So, I know how some of this works. I've worked for restaurants where people have slipped, where a stabbing happened, where people were shot. Things like that happen. And that's what you got to be aware of. They have to do it legal and protect themselves. If they lose $1 million over a lawsuit, that's only going to hurt everybody when they have to raise fees or whatever they have to do. But enough on that, I guess. Let's go back to the questions here and see where we go from there. Let's see here. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Hi, Nancy. Again, thanks, Macaroni May. Sudden Treasures, how you doing? Michelle Trout, how you doing? Let's see here. Am I missing anybody? No, I don't think so. I'm sure there'll be some more popped in that I haven't seen. Let me see. I'll get down to that one in just a second. Yeah, the other Jason, the reason I keep finding more is because people are asking, what's the back look like? The last one I got was yesterday, and it was for a postcard that the front was shown. All I did was take a photo real quick. I could have looked through or pulled a cache. We keep all that stuff too, but it was so much easier because I usually pull out stuff that's been up for a long time to make sure that there wasn't damage in storage. I sell vintage items, so just the fact of them setting on their side or setting in a bin or setting in any of these containers that I have can damage a card. So before I take any offer for some items, I always look it up. So I already had the card out. Quick picture, the person bought the card. So, I didn't hurt my sales for that specific item or the other 3 or 4 that happened this week where somebody had a question on it. And it was all one batch. I've been writing down the actual ones that they've been happening in so I can have an idea and stuff. So I've got a list of the listings that this happened to, and so I can get a real good idea. I know which bin they happened in. I know what day I listed them, and I know what day they should be rolling on and relisting. This is the same in that whole group that they happened in. So, I at least have a real good idea on how to track it down, at least for me, because again, I bin everything and I have, bin numbers on all my listings. So, or at least I know where they're at anyway, if there's not a bin number on them. But anyway. Yeah, Disney Family 515. quantity rules. And I know I've seen some videos where, you're going to run yourself out of business if all you do is list. It's just not true. It only is true if you're listing the wrong items. I see, all the time people getting into it and saying, my sales are dropped, 50 to 70%. That may be the case for some people. But again, I switched off from clothing a while ago because I saw what was coming, how Amazon changed. I saw what was coming with eBay. I saw my returns, and I started to move away from it a while ago. You can't just switch out of your clothing. So I understand that there's going to be people that are still having slow sales. You've got so many factors to deal with if you're selling clothing and these other issues, or clothing and the usuals of broken, damage, or returns, or electronics and all, because the competitions is there. And what you now have to worry about is the brick and mortar. Just like the thrift stores are raising prices for the merchandise, they've caught on to the resale market, and they're trying to get back some of the money and make a higher profit for themselves. Brick and mortars are now doing the same thing. We just went to some stores and looked at shopping. Their prices have come down in a lot of the brick and mortars to be comparable, to make it so you want to buy a brand new shirt versus a used one on eBay, because there's not as much of a difference these days. You've got the competition, you've got the feedback issues. If you don't have top-notch feedback, you're going to end up shut out of the game at some point. So, I'm going to go on to how to fix some of the feedback issues, because there are honestly ways to lessen the impact of feedback. Like for us, because I've got a lot of feedback, I could take a negative and it still wouldn't lower me down below 100 just because of the amount of feedback I get at any given time. So, there's a game you can play to fix that. Not a game, I should say, but just there's options and ways to fix some of the feedback. But anyway, the more you sell, the more you're going to make, as long as the profit margin is there. And again, if I sell $1,000 worth of stuff, my average return on that is $800 average. And that's a honest, bona fide thing, because if you see the items I get, and if for those of you who started to buy similar items, you can see that they don't cost much at all. Shirts, you can't even get a t-shirt pretty much at Savers now, or the Goodwill even, for $3.99 or less. It's almost impossible a good one anyway. You might find some ratty ones for $1.99 or something else like that. But for the most part, prices are up through the roof everywhere across the board on stuff like this, because of people like us, not just you guys or me, but everybody who sells online. They're trying to recoup some of that cost and stop it from going into our pockets. So, the best thing is to diversify and broaden your scope. We started into these type of items years ago, several years, like 3 years ago now, because I knew what was coming. I didn't want to be caught off guard. So the best bet, these areas take time to learn. It's taken us years to learn what we do and how to make all the profits we do from these, but the profit margins are there. So, you should start now if you're worried about it. Don't let this go and keep going. I know some of the issues are related to the seller themselves. You can't do the same thing every single year without changing up something and expect the same results. It doesn't work that way. I've got a lot of experience in this. I've done this for years. I've done, the actual brick and mortar stores as a general manager and as a regional manager for, multi-million-dollar national companies. So, I've worked for Applebee's as a general manager. I've worked for Cracker Barrel as a general manager. I worked at Disney for 10 plus years doing stuff. I've got the business experience. I've taken business classes in college to get to my master's degree. I have a master's degree from the University of Toledo. I have a BS from the University of Toledo. I have an AA from Owens Community College. I have an AS from Owens Community College. I have some technical certifications from the University of Maryland, as well as a Denver college as well too. So, I've got a lot of experience and knowledge in this. So I'm not just talking my derriere, I should say. I investigated. I don't approach eBay or any of this as anybody else would. So, take whatever you hear out of your brain when you come see my stuff, because I don't do it like everybody else does. I don't think of it that way. I don't talk about it that way. I hear the other videos and it gives me ideas and things like that, but I am not like anybody else, and I'm not trying to brag. I'm not better than anybody else in any way, shape, or form. There's many sellers that are way over my head that just I couldn't touch, even in 10 years if I was doing it, because I'm not knowledgeable in a lot of stuff. But if you hit me up on collectibles, antiques, or any of this stuff, I guarantee you I know what I'm talking about, or I sure as heck can find the answers. Wherever you work, you got to be able to find the answers. So anyway, let's go on to some questions, right? I don't want to eat up all the time here on just me rambling on about things. But anyway, let's see where we're at here. Let's see here. Yeah, sir, thrift a lot. for me personally, I'm not dogging on eBay now. And I've had a lot of angry comments at me that, you know, I've been called all kinds of names in the book and some really nasty names too over me talking about this and think of it as small time issues for me. I don't have what everybody else has. This is what I see. This isn't what I'm saying everybody else's issues are. I do believe, though, that a lot of people out there who are having sales issues right now are partially their own fault or mostly their own fault. I've sold what everybody else has sold. So, the folks who come in here and make all these wild claims and stuff, my statements are based on actual fact. You can believe what I say or not. I'm not going to justify myself anymore on some of these comments and stuff that I get, because I know what's going on, and my time's gotten to be very valuable these days. And I'm spreading myself out and trying to advance my business. And I know what's going on. If the folks that, I'm trying to explain how this all works or what's going on, or the facts of sales and the facts of how the actual sales world works, not just eBay, but sales world works, I know what I'm talking about. Do I make mistakes and am I wrong? Sometimes, yes, everybody is, but for the most part, I do completely understand brick and mortar in the stores as well as eBay. As I said, we've been on eBay since the very first year they started. We sold Pez on eBay as well, too. In the first week we sold items. eBay just used to be basically like a bunch of kids and a group of people together. It was a Pez site from all I've seen and stuff. But anyway, let's go back to some questions here. Let's see here. Jaded Gypsy. Yeah, the hold music. Now, it depends. Now, I don't get bad hold music. Here's another plus on doing an anchor store, for those of you who don't know. And I've had people who have anchor stores and who've had them for years who did not know this. If you have an anchor store, you get U.S. support every single time you call, no matter what. If you have an anchor store, you are going to talk to a U.S.-based person, usually in California, as most everyone I've talked to. But again, that is a benefit to pay the $350 we pay per store. I'm out $700 the minute the 15th rolls around. My billing date is the 15th with the eBay. So every 15th, $700 hits my account. And if you too, here's just another touch on that. If you're looking at your percentage of expenses from the eBay page that has a little graph there and it says you're spending so much in fees, that's going to go up and down. That means nothing. That's based on all aspects. That includes your eBay listing fees, your store fees, your final value fees, your postage fees, and your PayPal fees. So just FYI on that one too. A lot of people weren't aware of that. And the other thing on the eBay pages too, the comparisons versus this year versus last year doesn't mean a thing for us and for most people if you sell more than 2 categories, and those category amounts change all the time, because that figure, and I keep expressing this to people and people think I'm wrong on that, it says it on that little thing up there, that those numbers are based on your top 2 selling categories. So just get that out of the way, because I had 3 people argue with me that today, and I'm not going to address those arguments anymore, because the facts are on the page that it says that on. So anyway, let's go on here. Tom, yeah, if let's say so you can cancel listings, and sales all you want. If you cancel a sale from a buyer, he can still leave you negative feedback even if he did not get that item. Just FYI. Cancellation means nothing when it comes to feedback. Just so if you're out the item or whatever the case may be, cancellation means nothing. There are ways. Let's say you have a damaged or you're missing something. You can drop ship an item from somewhere else if you have to. And I've done it in the past occasionally. So let's say I've got a broken record or something and I find the record. Let's say I've got a broken record from Amazon. I can buy it off eBay and have them ship it to somebody. So, there's ways around some of these issues here. So don't cancel a listing unless you have no other choice. Talk to the buyer, offer them something before you cancel. But if somebody cancels a listing, you can leave them negative feedback. It's just the way it works. I don't care what anybody says. eBay's going to tell you that's a fact. They can leave you negative feedback. So save yourself the world of pain. Don't cancel a listing unless there's no other option in the world. I'd rather you drop ship from some other seller that has the same item, to make your customer happy. Even if you got to lose a few bucks on the deal, your feedback and your reputation is worth more than a couple bucks in losses. Just my opinion anyway. Where are we at? How you doing, Nicole? How you doing, Charles May? Damn E&P. Have you had long, rough patches in eBay, or has it always been generally steady? Do you know sellers that work hard but fail to connect? Yeah, that does happen. We have had issues here and there, and they were all related to when we sold clothing and the usual books and stuff, and they were all related to when Amazon like changed from FBA, and they raised the storage fees for books and stuff. Books used to be everybody's bread and butter. For those of you who weren't in the gold mine era of FBA, when you could just send in a ton of books and just make religiously a paycheck every day of the week, you were selling books and stuff. It doesn't work as much like that. You got to be more selective, and storage fees and the whole works and disposal fee, all that stuff's went up. So everybody complains about eBay doing stuff like that, but still Amazon does just the same thing. So I work both platforms. We sell way more on eBay. Probably 70% or so of my sales come from eBay, 30% come from Amazon. We've got other sites, so I'm not going to include those in the total. But if you're versus eBay versus Amazon, it's 70 to 30% is what we break down my sales on. I don't sell a lot of what everybody else is. We're ungated across the board and CDs and stuff like that. I do buy in bulk now. We bought some warehouse purchases. I have invoices for brand new CDs now. It took me a little while to figure out a source to do that, but I did do that. As long as you have it, it's going to take you some while to still get ungated, even with those sales receipts and all. But it's easy enough to do. You're just going to have to wait. It takes time for anything you do. Just the way it is. Let's see here. Let me go down. The shirt wise, I wear work shirts. These are shirts I almost always just wear for work. I wear the same stuff because this is what I like. So, this is a Rage. If you're not sure, if you don't know what Rage is, but I buy a lot of the Rage and Roar shirts. I love them. I used to wear dress shirts, long sleeve shirts as a general manager and regional every day of my life. So I don't mind wearing long sleeve shirts. We're below ground level, basically where we're at. So where I operate our business is usually cool down here. Sometimes we have to wear a flannel shirt even in the middle of summer because there's a lot of electronic equipment running. So it's hot down here. But anyway, thank you, Nicole. Thanks, Charles. Let me go back and finish Dan P's question here. I do know sellers who work very hard and are still struggling to get over the mark. There's no given mark where you're going to hit where everything's going to be smooth sailing. It all depends on what you sell. And again, as I was saying, when I had issues, the issues were all related to the items that I sold. My issues started to go away the more I steered away from clothing, the more I steered away from the books. We still do books, but most of those go to Amazon. Amazon is still the #1 place to sell them, unless they're collectible or scarce or something like that, or barcoded books. Those usually sell better on eBay, just FYI. But it's the folks in our issues that we see are all the ones who are having issues or who had these stints of low sales that are all selling the same things. Whenever I talk to somebody and I hear that they're selling what we sell, they almost always have an increase in sales across the board. So, again, I'm not trying to brag. I'm not better than anybody else. I've spent my time and my brain power on figuring out what is going to give me a higher profit margin. Obviously meaning I need a lesser cost. I need to get the items that are cheaper or cheapest that still sell well and that don't have any returns. In some areas in clothing, the returns are 25, 30%. I've had people tell me 15, 20% is average on clothing returns. We buy clothing offline, so I know what our rate is on returning items that don't fit, or the source is wrong, or the size level is wrong, or they sent you the wrong shirt, or whatever the case may be. So, and even with the buy box and the way eBay switching stuff around, while your stuff's not showing up, you're selling the typical stuff. The best way to go about, in my opinion, again, you can have different results. You can sell things that I would never even think to sell, or sell the usual stuff and make it work depending on how you run it. But the oddball items, the one-offs, the items that only a handful of people sell is what I sell. 90+% of what I sell are oddball, scarcity items that are vintage that you just can't get everywhere. You just have to know where to look for them, because I know there's lots of folks that are watching me, and lots of you folks here are trying to find some of this stuff, and it's not as easy to find when you're starting off. You're new to it, or it's a new area and you're not sure what to buy. I didn't know what to buy. I made a lot of mistakes, but you learn from those mistakes. I'm trying to cut off some of your time it's going to take you to get to where I'm at by showing you the stuff instead of making you learn it on your own. I learned a lot on my own, but I talked about Lou before, one of my bosses. I had somebody who did help me more than anybody in my life business-wise, and I'm going to talk about him, and I'm going to talk about some of the things you should think about in another video. It's already shot. I've already got it uploaded. It will be up soon, but anyway. let's move on here. Hopefully that answered your question. I know it's a little rambling on there. I get that way. I get into the subject. So anyway, let's move on here a little bit. I skipped a whole bunch again here. I guess I'm way behind on questions. Let me move back up to where I was at, because I guess I've missed like 50 or 60 comments already. Hang on just a second here. I'm sorry, I'm gotten behind here. Welcome, Wade's Ventures. Fan of jazz too. I like jazz too. I took jazz history in college. Bix was my buddy. I loved all the Bix stuff, and that's usually the highest dollar 40 or 78 you can get. So if you're into jazz, you know who Bix is. So I won't have to tell you that. But if you don't know who Bix is, do a Google search. You want to learn something, go to Pop Psych and type in Wolverine Orchestra. And you will see. Type in Bix. That's all you got to do. Bix. B-I-X. So anyway, jazz is the bomb. I listen to everything. I love rap. I love alternative is one of my favorites. Heavy metal, 80s hair bands. So anything is play in my house, even classical. I'll listen to Night on Bald Mountain sometimes. I'm a fan of that. I've Fantasia we've seen on 70mm Dolby, and it was pretty incredible in my opinion. Nice Dolby stereo, the whole works. But anyway, Tekis Hagler, welcome. Red, hello. Glitter Sunflower, how are you doing? eBay fees, Glitter Sunflower. It's the best game in town. For what I pay in fees, I'm not going to complain about it. You got a 10% fee at max on most items across the board. Most are lower than that to some extent, depending on where you sell. You can look around. Amazon fees are actually higher than that for what we sell and what I see. But I do sell my items for higher on Amazon, so it does compensate to some extent. It is what you make of it. I try to sell things that I get a higher return on my. If I'm selling something for $10, chances are I paid $1 or less for it. So if I'm spending another $1 in fees, I'm still making $8, which is a huge profit margin. That's why I say it's 80% across the board. If I sell something for $10, 80% of that comes home with me and stays with me. So, and again, it didn't used to be like that. When I sold clothing or I sold the games or I sold all the other stuff that everybody else does, I had to spend so much more. 2, 3, 4 times as much to sell something. And, that's why I don't mess with certain items under a certain price anymore at all. It's just not worth my time. Even if I can get hundreds of them, I don't want to mess with it. I've got other avenues of income. So anyway, let's see here. Nicole's got a question here. Disabled retail restaurant background, no reselling experience, has limited space and ability. What kind of products would you advise? Paper is small, I can't say I'm limited in space. We do have a building at my mom's house, actually, with, 100,000, well, 200,000 records probably. So, I do have extra space and storage, but we try to keep everything here. That's my backstock, of stuff I plan to go through. One point here, we talked about opening a record store or just a record specific site, but, I just haven't stepped up to that because I listen to records. As I said, I have a master's degree. I did my master's thesis or parts of it on music. I'm going to post my thesis. So if anybody wants to read a full-fledged part of a master's thesis and is interested in knowing my thoughts on life and stuff and music, I will have it in my Facebook group. Not to brag again, it has an ISBN number. It is copyrighted. The University of Toledo did supply me with all the information, and they do protect my copyright on that. So if you do want a copy, it is going to be downloadable from my Facebook group. It's huge. It's long. It's like 60 pages. So just keep that in mind. But you can kind of get a gist on thinking and where I come from and what I do. But paper items in general, postcards are a good start if you've got a source for it. Depends on how he can get out and what mobility he has. Retail and restaurant experience is what I have as well too, and that would well suit somebody for the business acumen that it takes to actually be able to run the business aspect of it. So he's got like the 90% aspect of doing eBay. The other 10% is finding the items. I know a lot of people think it's the other way around, but being able to run a proper business takes a lot more than just being able to list items. There's so much more to what I do and what everybody should be doing than just finding the right items. The research is key to everything and researching every aspect of the business. So anyway, hopefully that gives you an idea, Nicole. Paper in general is a good way to start. And you're talking about space, and I've showed these bins before. This is just one. I've got about 50 of these full. You can see, I mean, it's all bin numbered, labeled. There's 500, 600, 1,000 in some of these bins, and it takes up no space. These are postcards, trade cards, greeting cards, all kinds of stuff like that. And I'm going to show some more on storage, because there's some other ideas. I've got other questions on bigger items. There's a lot of stuff you can do to cram stuff into small areas. So anyway, even like on these shelves, I've got enough space to put stuff up here. That was done intentionally. You can see I've got stuff lined everywhere, because this is a base. It's like having another shelf up here on top of it. So, you can cram stuff and measure out the space on top of it ahead of time. Every inch of this space was measured off with a 20-foot tape ruler, so I knew where everything was going to go before I put it in here, because I wouldn't want to be caught off guard and not have everything set up where I'm losing space. So anyway, space is key to what we do. And that's another reason why, I've jammed it on here and worried about space, because I don't want to double my expenses by having a warehouse or having facilities besides what I have now. So anyway, let's see here. Amazon has taken over. Amazon does have the best customer service. I will give you that any day of the week. I will tell eBay that to their face. But do I have a problem with eBay in general? No. But yes, Amazon has the bomb customer service. If you heard the story I started off with in the beginning, they went way overboard. They do what I would want to be done, what I try to do to everybody else. So if I have an issue, I offer them the house if I have to. I'll offer them the free item, free shipping on another item, whatever you got to do to make your customers happy. You see what I sell. I still have 100% positive feedback. I do make mistakes. I've had dings and stuff before too. I've messed up. Everybody does. But for an overall aspect, you want good feedback. It's the only way this works. I want that buy box feature, and the buy box feature isn't there for eBay. So your feedback, your reputation, your standing in the community is what matters on eBay. That's why Top Rated Seller Plus, I guarantee you, matters. It matters more now than ever for those of you who are having sales issues or clothing issues or return issues again. So anyway, but eBay is gearing towards they're not trying to be Amazon. I don't think that at all, because eBay's model in general is different. eBay's base of what started off and what they do the most is a collectibles market. This other stuff was added on after eBay started. eBay just used to sell collectibles for the most part when they started. You could really sell anything, but it was a collectibles market. They took over all the small ones. They took over the Big Red Box and all these other sites that used to be massive, Big Reel, and all the other ones that have went by wayside or sell with their own, eBay store now instead of their own sites. I know Shopify's out there and all these other sites and all, but I don't do any of that. I try to stick to the main ones, because the audience is there, the customer base is there already. It's an established form, so anyway. Where are we at? Thanks, Red. Yeah, I can't comment on Vegas. Again, I don't do that kind of stuff here. I do drink, so don't get me wrong. I'm a wine aficionado, or a good margarita, or gin and juice or something like that would be more my line. But I saw some of the video and photos of some of the wild stuff that happened there. I'm more a mild-mannered person these days. My party days are over. I used to have hair down to the waist and, go to all the rock concerts and stuff and do my share of bad stuff. But, these days I'm mellow and a family man, 100%. So anyway. Wade's Ventures, if you want to send me a message, I do have email on my YouTube page. Just drop me a line there and maybe we can talk about something like that. I have not done anything along that line with anybody else. I have received probably a dozen or so inquiries on that. I've watched your videos, Wade. So I do know who you are. I watch most of the other ones on here too. There's a bunch that I don't watch. I don't watch any of the ones that are just marketing and trying to get your money for services and stuff like that for the most part. I don't mind people doing stuff or having groups or anything like that. So I'm not cutting on anybody here at all. I do drop ship occasionally. So again, I don't cut on those, but the model for drop shipping is going to be flooded any day now. I guarantee it. So you're going to have a niche, or they're going to start shutting it down. They're already working on it now. I guarantee you it. I've talked to eBay. I know it's not against the rules technically, but it's going to happen. Walmart's going to hit it. They're all going to start hitting this because they're going to want to make the sale. So anyway, hit me up there, Wades, and we'll go from there. Let's see here. OMFUG. Yeah, that's a good question, OMFG. I would suggest something that the person is into. If they like sports, look into sports cards. If they like, antiques, paper is always good. I wouldn't recommend glassware for anybody new. I wouldn't recommend some of the higher dollar stuff, but paper is everywhere. You can get it dirt cheap. Join my Facebook group, and you're going to see a bunch of people in there who've picked up huge lots of stuff. I'm jealous of some of what I've seen some of the folks get. It's stuff that, is up in line with, the high-end stuff I end up finding. So, I see people are finally, catching on to some of what's going out there. So, paper, I can't express it enough. Paper, vintage toys. I sell a ton of vintage toys. I sell camera stuff. I'm going to show you a bowl here too in a few minutes, because I picked up something today. You can see the price I paid for it and everything in just a second here. Yeah, Beauty Lover. Goodwill actually does auctions on the ones around here. They look up everything nowadays because they do sell on their own auction site. If anybody isn't aware, Goodwill auctions, type in. They have them everywhere across the country. The stuff sells higher on Goodwill auctions many times than it does on eBay. I don't know how that is, except that maybe they're doing it for local stores, or for profits for that store, or whatever the case may be. But most of those stores now look up stuff. Savers looks up stuff. I guarantee it. I knew the lady here that priced it before the Savers closed down. She looked up on especially the jewelry in the jewelry case. They actually have testers now that test the gold and stuff now too. So, those jewelry glass jars that they have on the counter are going to be getting slimmer and slimmer, finding gold out of those. When I was, first starting at Savers, you could buy one of those big things of, gold and junk jewelry off the counter and find gold in there, 14 karat, sometimes 18 karat, even just the backs of, pierced earrings. So, they're all doing it now. So as I said, prices are going up across the board. You're going to have to expand your market because your sourcing opportunities are getting less and less. Your prices are going up and up for everything you buy in the clothing market, even video games. The competition is out there. It's incredibly huge. Not just off of eBay you have to worry about. You have to worry about sourcing from all the other sites that are nibbling on eBay. So, again, I don't blame eBay for what they're doing, trying to fix this or trying to address it. They want to stay in the top two, and I don't blame them. So that's the way we're running with this here. You're going to have to spread out. You're going to have to. I guarantee you, if you don't spread out, your sales are going to keep declining. Next summer is going to be worse than this summer. It's a fact. I guarantee it. All those who've been on eBay for a long time know that summer can be very difficult if you're not doing the right thing or not on the ball. And I mean on the ball. I check, through the summer, we check our sales and our run-through rates and all the time. Every day before I go to bed, I write down numbers. I usually don't do that in some times of the year. I want to make sure we're keeping things straight. I want to make sure if I need to keep my average daily sales rate up, I want to address it the minute it happens. So that's when I put markdowns on. And again, I've talked about that. You can look at some of my videos. When I mark down stuff, I mark down the items that are have watchers. I only do the ones that have multiple watchers, not just one. I usually want 2 or 3 watchers or more. Some items I have 9, 10 watchers. When you have a bunch of watchers and the item's been up, that means you've done something wrong. That means I did something wrong. If I have an item with 10 watchers and it's been up for 2 or 3 months, I'm pricing it wrong. There's just no other answer to it. That's the answer. So anyway, there's just so much competition. I'm just warning you all right now. Next year's going to be worse if you don't change up what you're doing right now. I guarantee it. We saw this coming 3-4 years ago, and we did start to switch up then. I started to switch up then when the returns started to go up in clothing and, all what eBay has been changing. And it's for the good. I promise you, look at the end result and what comes of this. Don't look at what it takes to get there. For those of you who were on eBay the first year, you know what happened and all the issues they had. What you're seeing now is nothing compared to what they've changed in the past. This is literally nothing. I promise you. eBay used to be the wild, wild west. It used to be a fiasco for people. You could get away with all kinds of stuff. You could sell illegal items. You could sell guns. You could sell whatever you wanted. Dangerous weapons, even dangerous items. Chemicals could be shipped and eBay wouldn't even have caught them. So just FYI. Hang on. I'm way behind on questions here. I'm sorry again, folks. The other Jason, do I periodically reduce the price on your income? The only ones I reduce prices on are the ones I put up my first year up on eBay, because after that point, I learned that I better darn well research every item before I put it up and know what it's worth. So the majority, 95% of what I've got up will sell eventually. It just takes the right seller. I sell stuff that have been up, for 2, 3, 4 years pretty much every day. So because we've got a lot of stuff up, you know, just look at my one store and you'll see we've got 2 anchor stores right now. I've got a third store with maybe 200 plus items on it, maybe. And those are the test runs, you know. Oh, let me hit that here while I'm talking because I'm going to forget because I've got a lot of stuff on my plate today. I was running a test on 30-day listings versus good till canceled. You know, I ran 100 items on 2 different accounts of ours, the same item, mind you, the exact same item. You know, and we ran it several different ways. I ran it on the same account, and then I reran it on 2 different accounts to see what the difference is. I do not see any difference in the items that I personally sell. I can't say that'll be the same for you, but I do not see any more difference between that and it automatically relisting. You know, yes, sometimes I see people say I get some automatic hits on items. The only time I see a big difference when I'm, you know, again, relisting something is when I've changed up something either in the title or I've zoomed in on the photo or something. When I do that, I do see a difference. But 30-day versus good till canceled, I don't see any conceivable difference to do it one way or the other, unless you're worried about the glitch affecting you again. They've solved it, so I'm not going to do that. We did start to do some 30-day just to see what happens. And again, as I said, we ran it for 2 months. I ran it for 60 days, 60 full days, that test. And the conclusion, based on 100 listings, ran several different ways, is that there was no difference in collectibles anyway. Maybe there is in clothing, I don't know. But we ran it in collectibles, which is 90% of my business these days. So anyway. Yeah, Jennifer Haven, welcome. And yes, that is what they gave us a gift. I had an $18 item and they gave me a $25 gift certificate to my account, which we just watch movies with anyway on the big screen. And they still gave us the item for free and shipped it out. So yes, Amazon is great. eBay trying to increase prices on the sellers who are having issues, I can understand, because eBay, it doesn't have the reputation in customer service as Amazon does. So that is their biggest drawback. So, you know, they are working on it. They are addressing it. Just like if you exchange now contact information and email, you'll get billed for that item being sold, even if you didn't sell it now. So just keep that in mind too. Let me go down and get some more questions here. Jip and Tan, Modern Marquee is our store name. The one we share, we do have 2 other ones, as I said, though. I'm not going to share those because we are scaling up and doing some things in there. We're the sole person in a couple of niches, so I'm not going to share that because I don't want any competition. So greedy or not, that's how this works. Just Modern Marquee. Hang on here. Hang on, I'll type it in here so you can see how it's spelled. I've dropped it in there. So down in the chat somewhere, you should see. I'm way up on the top still. So I've got it in there, though, so you can see it. The site that I'm giving you, there's 22,000 listings on there right now. I think somewhere in the 22,000 range right now. The other site we have has about 20,000 listings on it. And then as I said, we got about 250 on a third smaller site. And we just basically run tests on that. And we also purchase from that other site, basically almost everything if we purchase stuff from eBay. A good rule of thumb is don't purchase from the same site you sell on in case there's issues. So, you know, just FYI. Pocket Bible, Macaroni Made, Pocket Bibles do sell. It depends on what kind of Pocket Bible you're talking about. Yeah, Sean John, I don't use my phone for pretty much anything other than researching prices. So I'm not sure on what you can print and what goes where. Hang on a second here. Let me see what the question was. Yeah, I couldn't tell you on that global shipping. I shipped off 4 or 5 items today to the UK and 1 to Japan. So it's working on my end. I don't know. Maybe the person's right here on if you're doing it from a phone. I don't use a phone for pretty much anything. I never list from a phone. I don't use phones to take photos. I've got DSLR cameras for everything. Sean John, if you're not part of my Facebook group, just go to my Facebook group and you can post, you know, a bunch of pages up there and I can tell you right off the bat which ones are decent, which ones are not. Your best bet, though, is to take out the RPPCs and start looking them up, because the only way you're going to learn postcards is to start looking into them yourself. So just keep that in mind here. Let me see here. Hang on here. Let me get some more questions here. Grim Reaper, will you take less? Here. Let me get to some more questions. I'm sorry I'm way behind today, but we've had a lot. I got a lot on this page here. We never put packing slips in anything, Sean John, just FYI. Some items, if you're shipping medium mail, you shouldn't put a packing slip in there because technically that could be considered advertising, just FYI, if it has your store name on it. I've never heard anybody get busted for that, but who knows? JI, let's see here. Yeah, for us, for like boxes here, I know people dumpster dive and get the boxes. I buy Walmart boxes. They're the cheapest around because I cut them down and I use the same size for almost everything. I've got it down to a science what I can do with the Walmart box. I can make mailing tubes out of it. I can make 14 one 14-inch square box from Walmart. I can ship 16 items out of that in. If those of you, anybody's liking the video, please go ahead and smash that like button up there. Again, I did get monetized. I would like to get at least some feedback from this so I can afford to expand some of the videos that we're doing here and give you some better quality on what we do. But again, let's go back to the questions here. Again, back to the Walmart issue on boxes. We get $300 worth of boxes from eBay, and I've got more boxes than I know what to do with now. So, you know, I've been swapping them out lately with somebody else who's got Walmart boxes for me at a decent price. So anyway, I don't have any problem with people recycling boxes, and I do use some boxes over occasionally, but for the most part, I use all new stuff just because it's so much more convenient to have the exact size I need, because everything I ship, 95% of what I ship will fit in a Walmart box perfectly, or be able to be cut down from a Walmart box and be shipped that way. Let me see here. Sir thrifts a lot. Yeah, it just depends on, you know, how much stuff you have up and what you're selling, on how many you're going to sell a day. Our rule right now is we're running about $750 in take-home in sales a day from eBay, and that's about average right now. And if it's staying like this, I have no idea on what to guesstimate for fourth quarter here. I'm assuming this year our fourth quarter is going to be the highest I've ever seen in my life. Hopefully, cross my fingers on that one here. But anyway. Hang on here. I'm bouncing all over the place on my questions here. I'm going to stick it up till 8:30 here so we can get some more questions in here. I was going to cut it off a little earlier, but we'll get some more questions in here. Good suggestion on shoes, but again, that's a market that you need to know something about, just like antiques. Shoes are going to be a flooded market at some point too, would be my guess, but not right now from what I see, because I know there's some people who just sell shoes. I think Tony, there's a guy named Tony on YouTube that just sells shoes or something like that. Let me see here. Go on to some questions. Jennifer Haven, vintage greetings cards sell very well. I've sold greeting cards into the hundreds. I think my highest price for a Christmas greeting card from the Victorian era was almost $500. So, and you'll run across ones signed by famous people that sell very well too. Military ones can sell for a couple $100. I've shown some military Christmas cards from World War II in some videos, and I've sold a couple of those over $100 already just in the past couple of weeks. So, you know, greeting cards sell, Christmas cards sell. I sell even modern day Christmas cards. I've got one of Santa Claus. It's a Hallmark. It's up right now. I've sold a half a dozen or more for $57.50, and this is a 1960s card. Still have some up. Type in Santa Claus and Spaceship, I think I have a title under, and you'll see the card I'm talking about. But I've sold many of them for $57.50. I paid $1 for a pack of 10 of these at a thrift store a long time ago. So yes, greeting cards sell, not just those, Halloween cards, the whole works. There's a ton of that market that does sell. Yeah, Rick C., I'm going by what people have told me on the returns on that. I've seen them as high as 30% from some people. And again, that's probably because they're not putting in the actual measurements, or they're selling stuff and they don't know what they're doing, would be my guess. You know, I haven't looked into the deal because I'm not into clothing anymore, really. You know, I'm not going to mess with it too much anymore, but I've phased it out, or trying to, because there's so much better areas that don't have all these issues and that don't have all the competition in the market. So anyway. Fan of jazz too. T-shirt wise, I just watched a video last night with the wife on a gentleman who sells T-shirts. It's on YouTube. I'll maybe even put the link on my Facebook page, but it was pretty interesting. The guy sells to people like Kanye West and stuff like that, and he sells T-shirts, vintage T-shirts for thousands of dollars. We've sold T-shirts for $400 or $500. So I fully agree. Most of the ones that I find are rock concerts from the 80s, White Snake or Ozzy or something like that, you know, because I had some of mine, you know, that I sold and made a ton of money on it. Especially the ones that are bought at the concert with the shorter sleeves, the jersey style sleeves. Those seem to sell very well, especially the ones that list the cities on the back. So T-shirts are good. They are the bomb, but I still buy those if I run into them, but I don't actively look because I have to go sourcing just for clothing in it. And there's not many sources left in our area because Savers closed down. So anyway. And as to Rich C again, 2% returns. I have had no returns this year at all, none. So, you know, just FYI, the vintage market with the right photos, 600 DPI or better photos, you can see every inch of the photo, you know, and that's key to having less returns and to being to specifically detail any issue that could be happening with that item. So again, who knows what the issues are when people have 20% returns on clothing or something, or 15% or 10%, whatever the case may be. It's usually for somebody not describing it properly, or the wrong size, or there's a hole they missed, or they didn't take a real good close look at it, you know, because I think every one of us who have bought clothing have not noticed something wrong with the piece of clothing and gotten home and realized, hell, I can't sell this item now. There's a hole in it. There's a snap missing. The zipper's broken or something like that. And if anybody's looked into what it costs to fix a zipper, it is expensive. We've done a few here on my own. I do have some sewing experience, but I don't like to mess with it. It's a lot of work. So anyway, let's move on here a little bit. Annie, yeah, that's what we do anyway. I didn't realize you were talking to Fan of jazz too, but yeah, the 80s and 90s rock shirts sell, and they're the bomb in selling on T-shirts. It's the only ones I would ever mess with if it was me. But T-shirts across the board, vintage T-shirts from 70s, 80s, and 90s sell for all kinds of topics. You know, a lot of people who buy them don't even care what's on the shirt. And again, I'm going to post that video or link to that video on this gentleman from New York, I think he's in, who just talked about him selling T-shirts and what he does. He shows the process. He shows what he does. It was an eye-opener for me. I'm not going to go sourcing for shirts because I've got so much stuff now. But for those of you who have an opportunity to have sources, you know, T-shirts seem to be a real huge still item to sell. But you got to get the vintage ones. Yeah, Metallica shirts. I've sold a couple of those too. Thanks, Rich C. Yeah, I like rap too. You know, I've been giving out something every week. I've got two winners, Katie and Richard. Got him. Richard was last week and Katie was the week before. Give you a little chance to win something. I've talked about a specific R&B song from the early 90s in several of my videos. The same person. If somebody can email me who I mentioned multiple times, that specific person or the song title, I will send you free and clear one of my postcards, hand signed with the actual hand-drawn illustration on the back, free of charge. All I need is your address. The first person to go to my About Me page and email me that will get something for free. So if you're interested in that, you'd like to see what I do and some of the artwork up close, here's your chance. It's a freebie. But again, you're going to have to watch a couple of videos to see it. It's in a haul video for sure where I show some clothing. The clothing is why I brought it up, the type of clothing I was talking about. So again, if you want something for free, that's your chance right here. So you might have to watch a few videos. Some of you may know who I'm talking about because other people have mentioned that specific person. So, and I've talked about him in several videos too. I listen to R&B. I listen to rap. You know, I like the old school stuff. Basically, my favorite band of all time for the longest time was the Beastie Boys. You know, I was very sad when one of them passed away. So, you know, I grew up on the Beastie Boys. I remember, I think it was 87 when they came out. I know all the lyrics to License to Ill, every single lyric to every single song on that whole album. So, you know, but I listen to alternative rock, you know, 90s are great. You know, I know Godsmack. I know the lyrics to, you know, like Voodoo or something like that, every single word to those songs. But anyway, enough on that. Where are we at here? Joshua Uh, Pineda. Yes, I've got a couple videos on packing. One Man Riot. I'm not sure on what your comment's supposed to be. Absolute rubbish. My sales are through the roof right now. I'm selling like mad and hotcakes again. So I don't know if that's a crack or what. I'm not sure. My video, I guess you didn't watch it if you're thinking I'm talking about eBay being dead. I was criticizing those who said eBay is dead. So, you know, if you're not going to watch the video and criticize me for saying something, I guess you should really watch the video. eBay is not dead, and that's what I say throughout the video for the entire length of the video. So if I'm misreading what you're saying, it doesn't look like it, though. But eBay is not dead, and I'm not willing to be attacked for sticking up for eBay. So, you can say what you want, but if you're criticizing me for blaming people or the platform, you better watch the video again, because I'm standing up for eBay, because they have been the bomb for me since the first day I was on there. Our sales are through the roof this month. So, and this is the highest month I've ever had in any summer I've ever been through for sales. So, I'm not sure what you're talking about there, but let's see here down. You're welcome, Dan. I'm Damn ENP. Sorry about the name. Reseller Network. Again, Reseller Network. I don't know if you're talking about me, but if you've watched the video, I don't criticize eBay. eBay is not an issue for us. We've got too many listings to complain about. A couple hundred listings that have an issue. I don't dog on eBay. I do not. Watch the video, please. Again, Reseller Network, it depends on your personal experience with customer service at eBay. I guarantee you that eBay is not going to give you a $25 gift certificate, give you the item for free, and still mail out that item to you. I guarantee it. It's just not going to happen. It's never happened in the history of eBay. So, I will challenge you on the customer service for what I have seen on Amazon. I don't call Amazon. I use the chat because it's immediate, and they took care of it every single time I do it. Now, eBay has taken care of all my selling issues, so I can't complain there, but I have heard and seen personal stories on eBay. So I will challenge you on that one. And I'm sure a lot of the people on here have already seen and commented will agree with me on that as well, too. Anybody who's had to call eBay customer service and sat there for an hour knows that's not good customer service. So anyway. People collect all kinds of postcards, Annie, so it just depends. Columbia Expo booklets do sell, but they're not high-priced items. I've got one sitting back here right now, so it depends on which version you have. Vintage costume jewelry. I have hundreds of pieces of vintage costume jewelry up as well, too. They do sell, and they do sell very well. I just sold a costume jewelry piece for 175 bucks just the other day. It was a high-end crown Trifari from like 1947. It was something I've never had. It was a real fancy piece. A couple hundred rhinestones on it. Real nice piece there. Yeah, I've got a video coming out, Ray, on rolling up. And again, I just touched on that. I've set it up. It's all shot, as I said. I've just got to add some comments and things to it, too. But yeah, I do have it. Yeah, Reseller Network. I've been talking about adapt and stuff from the start here. I go with the flow. If eBay changes, I change. So again, there is not much to worry about if you stay and change as they do. And you got to switch up your items. Otherwise, you're not going to increase your sales. You can't be in a flooded market and expect you to keep increasing sales when more and more people your competition are taking away your sales. It's just not going to work. Let's see here. Good till canceled will not end your listings if it doesn't sell in a certain length of time. We've had listings for 4 or 5 years up right now. So I don't know where you got that information. KMB Golf, but eBay does not end your listings if they have been up forever. It does not work. It just keeps relisting them. eBay gets a fee off of that. There is no such thing as them canceling your good till canceled listings. Doesn't happen. I'm proof of pudding. I've got thousands of things that have been up for 4 or 5 years. So just FYI. How do I get confirmation, Cindy? Everything goes out with tracking. I charge $350 for every item I ship or more. First class with tracking, everything. I don't ship anything in envelope, and especially overseas. You cannot ship anything merchandise in a correspondence letter overseas because that is against the law. You are violating the import-export law by not having that slip on the paper. Everything that's merchandise has to be declared. So everything goes in a first class 2 mil poly bag or something like that. But I charge first class shipping off eBay for everything, including postcards. They pay $350 to ship a postcard, even if it costs $250. So anyway. Yeah, we track everything. So just keep that in mind. Everything is tracked. I have confirmation for every single thing we ship. Always ship with delivery confirmation. Yeah, I can't tell you on the 14 days in sale. From what I understood, they rescinded that. I don't list anything and wouldn't put anything on sale unless it's been up for a while, for us anyway. I know there might be some benefit to folks doing what, depending on what you sell, but I would never list something on sale that's only been up for 14 days in the first place. But that's so they don't have people manipulating their pricing to get better prices and list them on sale and then mark them down and mark them up and just play around with the prices. I understand that aspect of it, but let me see here. Yeah, I don't pay attention to watchers for the most part, unless there's a ton of them. Hang on here. I'm still way behind. Sorry, folks. Yeah, 10% is max on eBay for anything. So, and that's cheap fees. Anywhere you go, it's cheaper than Amazon overall, too. So just keep that in mind. Annie, if you want a price on something, just put a picture of it in my Facebook group. I'm almost sure I can give you a price. It might be something I've personally had if it's from the Columbian Expo. I've had hundreds of items for the Columbian Expo. I've got a huge stack of stereo views from there right now and that book, like I just said. So if you want a price on it, feel free to post it in my Facebook group. Cara Retro. I cannot tell you what the issue is on your postal service pricing. That's up to your post office. Each post office charges according to how much it costs them to run their service. So, thanks, the other Jason. I knew there was a gentleman who did shoes. I've seen a couple of videos. Yeah, global shipping program can work, and we do use that as well too. But a lot of people complain because of the high cost of shipping. So. Yeah, bin is the best way to go. I guarantee you. For everything we sell, bin is the best way. I get far higher prices from bins than I do anything else. Hey, Sublime 90, good to have you. Yeah, I would never do free shipping. That's a lark. We've tried it both ways. So anybody doing free shipping, do your own test on it. But I've tested it both ways. It does not affect my sales in any way, shape, or form, charging for everything. I do not do free shipping on anything anymore, anything. And I've checked it out. You know, once you've done it and you see that there isn't any difference, I would never go back to free shipping. It's just a joke to do free shipping personally. For everything I sell, the collectible market, people don't care to have to pay the shipping. They want the item. They're a collector. They're going to collect and pay extra for it. So just keep that in mind. Leif Denton, I've got a source for yearbooks and stuff. It's only for the high school and the college. I may share that in the future, but that's like one of my insider informations. I'm in a group that I talk with, and that's where the information comes from. And I'm not going to go into too much detail on that, but I may in the future address some of those or give you some lists of some of the better schools. I do have lists of my own as well too, but anyway. Yeah, Jennifer, 300 items a month is really good. We don't do free shipping on anything. We used to when we first started, but we realized that was just a joke to do free shipping. Don't ever do free shipping. You're just giving away money because we can still sell the same item for the price that somebody's selling it with free shipping and still have them pay shipping. It happens every day of the week, I promise you. So anyway. Yeah, for global shipping program, I do not do global shipping for England, for Canada, Japan, and France. And Germany. I ship directly to those countries because I've never had an issue. The tracking is on ball for those countries I just mentioned. You're not going to have an issue with not having tracking to the destination every time, and that'll save it. And you're going to get more sales if you put small items that weigh less than 4 pounds is the limit for first class. So do first class. For anything under 4 pounds, you're safe to ship to Canada, to England, to France, to Germany, and Japan straight to them. We also do Australia too. I'll take that back. There's one more, but we ship straight to them. I do not do global shipping for those countries because we increased our sales by shipping directly to them, and we doubled our sales to those foreign countries. I'm 100% top-rated seller in every country on the planet because of that, doing that specific thing. So anyway, welcome, Mark Corbett from Rhode Island. I've been up there before as well, too. Welcome, Beth. Let's see here. Yeah, Michelle P. Yeah, I've got a couple videos on packing. Again, for those of you who are selling free shipping, I've done it both ways. And I can tell you without a doubt that free shipping is not the way to go for what I sell. I guarantee it. I've tested it. I've ran it. I've ran it from different stores with different feedback ratings. So I know what I'm talking about. You can do it however you want. If you want to give away the money for shipping, be my guest. But I guarantee you, if you're selling collectibles, antiques, or anything that you see me talking about, free shipping is not the way to go. I do not have free shipping on anything, and you see the stuff that I sell and the quantity that I sell. So again, no free shipping here. I will never, ever recommend free shipping for anybody for anything. Just FYI. Let's see here. Paul's Boutique is a good album. I like Intergalactic and some of the other newer ones too. To the Five Boroughs is pretty good, but I listen to it all. I've got every album that they did, including just the musical ones too. So I'm a big Beastie Boys fan. Yeah, Jennifer, just watch out on that 75% up from last year. If you're looking at your sales versus last year from the eBay page itself, those sales are only based on your top 2 selling categories. So if those change, which ours change daily sometimes, it means nothing to what you're up from last year. I always recommend everybody doing a separate page for your own page. Do a Excel spreadsheet and figure out your sales yourself versus last year. I track every year on one main page, so I can tell you what I was up from 5 years ago, even every single dime that I was up. So anyway, let's see here. Do I invest in eBay stock? No, but I did when they first released it. We made enough to buy a car with because we bought it. We held on to eBay stock for 6 weeks, and then I turned around and sold it for a huge, and I mean huge. I think we bought in at like $21 a share, and I sold it for $461 a share 6 weeks after we bought eBay stock. I don't do a lot of stocks. I'm not a big investor. We do own some stocks in some companies, but eBay is not one of them. We own stock in Disney because I work there. I've got a lot of Disney stock. It's split like 7 times since the time I've quit Disney, and I still have my stock just rolling over. Just my pension plan, everything's through Dean Witter and all that. So anyway, let's get some more questions here. We're running a little low on time here, so. Let me see here. Hang on here. Let's get some more questions. John Freeman, you're selling, you know, decent items, but just gotta keep in mind that, you know, the market is changing, and that is why a lot of people are down right now, because the market has changed. So, you know, I would definitely expand, and anybody who is not expanding their market is going to be in trouble in a year or two. You know, you got to look at the big picture. I say that all the time. The big picture means you've got to be looking in advance and what's going on. I mean, we've been looking at last fourth quarter. So, you know, you've got to be looking ahead. Where is the market going right now? Look at that right this minute and see what's going on with the buy box and eBay changing and Amazon issues and all these other gating issues, Veros and the whole works. So I would expand out no matter what for everybody. You've got to expand out. There's just no other way around it. Collectibles are good. Paper is the best. It's cheap. It's everywhere, and it always sells. So that's my take on it. Vintage toys, I sell a lot of. I sell dolls. I sell games. I sell movies. I sell everything that you do, but I'm very selective in categories that aren't collectible or antiques and things along that line. Yeah, customer service, you're going to be on the line on eBay for a good 50 minutes to an hour anytime you call during the day. That's just a given. That is not good customer service. On Amazon, I can instantly chat with somebody, and it takes minutes to have an answer. Minutes. eBay cannot touch that. I guarantee it. I've never had a response from eBay from their online, you know, chat service or anything out that was any comparable to what Amazon is. So I'll stand by. Amazon has the best customer service compared to eBay. Yeah, 7,500 items is a good amount, especially in 6 months. That's a real good start. So, and if you're doing it by yourself, that's awesome. I'm sorry, I see your wife are doing it. So that's a good plus. We're a husband and wife team. We started off together, and we have employees obviously now, and the whole works. The only way you're going to expand is to get those listings up. You list more, you're going to sell more, as long as you're listing the right things and researching your items. Hang on here. 7,500 items in 6 months is 100% possible. We list 600 items or more every single week. Every single week. I have to list that many just to stay above the 500 plus items we sell every week of the month. So, you know, if I'm not listing 600 items a week, I'm getting behind. I want to gain ground, not lose ground. So 600 plus items. I've listed over 1,000 in 1 week with everybody working. So again, 2 people working, and you're on the ball. It sounds like John Freeman is on the ball, and he's doing what he needs to do. That's what it's going to take you working that entire 6 months straight through to get that many items up. I guarantee you he's got some huge sales on that. Yep, see John Freeman, I see in here 75 to 100 items. We do 600 minimum a week. It's the only way this works. You got to set yourself up straight. You got to photograph quick. You got to have items that are quick to photograph. That's why I've strayed away from clothes too. It takes too long for me to set it up on a mannequin, or to set it up and take photographs, and then to measure, and then to do this, and then to do that. You have to take more photos. Paper is quick, 2 photos. I'm done. Easy, quick. I can do hundreds of them at a time. We can do a couple thousand photos with 2 people taking photos in the same day. Easy. And not even a whole shift as well. Let's see here. Yeah, Mark Corbett, I've talked about the new payment plan. If you haven't seen the whole live show here, go back to the beginning. I've actually addressed that very specifically on that. And no, I'm not worried. I've checked them all out. I've checked their site out. I've checked their references. I've checked their history. I've checked their banking history. It's all available online, mind you. So anyway, but I'm very happy with the new service. It's going to be better and has less issues and less complaints online than PayPal's ever had. So anyway. Yeah, I don't use virtual assistants for anything. I don't do any VAs or anything like that. Everything's in-house, so I can control what is going on. Nothing wrong if that's what you want to do, but I have to have everything in-house for me. That's just the way I am. We're running right up to the 8:30 mark. I'm going to have to cut it short here, unfortunately. If you didn't get your questions asked, I will probably go through here and try and see if I can't answer some of them in some of the other videos here, or save them up, and I'll call them out on next week's show. But I'm going to have to cut it short here. I've got Ian here. He's off the clock at 8:30. And I'm going to have to cut it short, though. Again, we've run about an hour and a half, which my hour show keeps running longer. But if you like the video, please, again, hit the like button for me there if you could. And again, if you're not in my Facebook group and you have questions, feel free to join it, and I will answer everyone I can. The busier I get, though, the harder it's going to be for me to get on there and answer everything as quickly as I have been. So just keep that in mind. I try to respond to every comment and every post in my Facebook group at some point. It may not hit it, a couple times a day. It may just be once a day or once, every couple days, just because of my time, and I'm limited on that. But again, if I didn't get to your question, I'm really sorry about that. I will do my best to keep the chatter to the actual questions at hand, though, next week, though. But again, I appreciate everybody being on. Hate to cut you off like this, but we're at the mark here. I don't like to go over that hour-and-a-half mark. But again, thanks, everybody, for being on here. Thanks for hitting the like button and subscribing. I really appreciate all the kind words and the comments and such forth. So again, Don, the Auction Professor, glad to have you tonight. Hope you have a good week as well, too.